Hey everybody, Clyde here. This is Clyde Plays, and today we're going to talk about the 2022 roadmap that Wargaming announced on Monday that covers everything from special events, upcoming premium ships, new tech lines, and more. Stay tuned for this episode of Clyde Plays News. Well, it's starting off pretty good. Welcome, everyone. My name is Clyde, and of course, this is the news. We are going to be doing some newsing today. We're using a brand new OBS layout. Let's see if this works. I suspect many issues and bugs. Please hang with me, but we had some huge news. SFNL, thank you so much for the gift sub. I'm sure Brad will appreciate it. Guys in chat, if you could hit SF with a top guy or a pizza slice or a pow to thank him for being a part of the community. Thanks so much, SF. I appreciate it. But we're going to talk news today and just kind of have ourselves a good time. Wargaming told us last week, or maybe, I don't remember, this weekend, they said, hey, we're having a special stream. It's going to be on Tuesday. And for me, it was 6 a.m. Boy, that's early. I'm going to say that again. Boy, that's awfully early. And I did not choose to get up that early to hang out with the crew. When I got up, my phone had a notification that said, World of Warships is live. Check it out. So I clicked on it, and some guys were talking at me in Russian. And I said, man, it'd be cool to speak Russian, but I can't. So I know what I'll do. I'll wait until later today when the English stream happens, and I will watch it. It will be fantastic. And then I went and, as my morning routine is, I checked the Clyde Plays Discord. If you guys aren't members of the Clyde Plays Discord, the link is there in chat. It's also going to be in description of this video on YouTube. You can check that out there. And if you'd like to join us for conversations about World of Warships between streams, that's the place to do it. So I checked my Discord, and there's all this conversation in there with people being like, oh my gosh, exciting things in the World of Warships. And I thought to myself, what? It was the Russian stream this morning. Nonsense. And so I went and I checked it out, and it turns out that they did the English stream first. Now, many of you, of course, probably know that. You might have been there live for the stream, or maybe you watch the VOD on Twitch, and maybe you don't do Twitch at all. Maybe you're just on YouTube. That's fine. And if that's your thing, then you're in the right place. We're going to talk about all of this stuff. Anyhow, we had this wonderful stream this morning. And World of Warships decided that they were going to lay out a huge roadmap of all of this great stuff they're planning for farther into the future than we normally get from them. Usually we kind of know what's coming in the next patch or 2 or 3. With this, they decided to kind of lay out a big chunk of the roadmap for 2022. They had a few different folks on stream with them. Seraphis was there. They had Blood Minister, a couple of community managers. I understand that Mr. Convoy was running things in the background, but was not on camera today, as of course I'm sure he prefers. But we missed Mr. Convoy. We also had Vessery, who was coming to us from St. Petersburg, who was listed as the live producer, or at least a live producer for what was going on. So during the discussion, we talked about a bunch of things, and they broke this roadmap down into a few different sections. Winter 22, Spring 22, and Summer 22, and then beyond, basically. And so let's talk about some of these things that were here. I captured a few notes, and of course, this news article, which I'll throw the link to the news article into chat. If you guys would like to follow along, you are welcome to do so. The news article here is not very verbose. And Vessery even told us in the stream, he said, we're not going to tell you everything about the future of development, because development is one of those things that meanders. I don't remember the phrase he used, but that kind of is uncertain in the future, right? And I know a little bit about software development myself, and I understand that. And as we kind of look to the future of what's going to be going on in World of Warships, they said, these are the concepts we're going for, and this is the timeline we're going for. Obviously, there are no facts about the future, so we can expect changes in all of this stuff as we're going forward. So in winter 2022, some of this stuff is underway already. You and I already know about Lunar New Year and the Pan-Asian cruisers. We already know about asymmetric battles that are coming up, and we know a little bit about the Canarias, but there's a little bit more to know about Canarias. Now, the Spanish cruiser Canarias is going to be joining the game very soon, as is the Royal Navy cruiser Dido. And as we see those ships come into the game, there's going to be gosh, what did they call it? It was like a personal, like the personal challenges we had back when the German battlecruiser line came into the game. And there's going to be some tokens that we'll be able to unlock and earn. And Vessery confirmed something that a bunch of us have been wondering about, which was that as we look at those tokens that we can unlock, we'll be able to get one of the two ships for free, but not both. So you're going to have to make a choice between Canarias and Dido and decide which of those ships is going to be the ship for you. There we go. Scotta says the way Dido keeps stacking nerfs, I'll take Canarias, and that's possible, right? We're gonna see some folks who have some opinions there on that. But Dido is a cool-looking ship. Of course, it's a ship that has some history. I'm not the biggest expert on that history, but I think it's going to be kind of an interesting ship that's coming out. We'll take a look at some of the changes to this ship as well. I'm going to keep this picture here because we may come back to it again in the future. And here's the Canarias, which is our Spanish Tier 6 cruiser. The Canarias was intended to be a very different ship than it wound up coming out and being. Hang on, this browser is all the wrong size. There we go. Canarias wound up being a very different ship than initially envisioned when they announced the ship, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we get to the updates to the ships. But just to show a couple of pictures of those boats, we've got Dido right here and Canarias. I think they both look really great, and I believe both were built or at least designed by United Kingdom ship designers, so that's why they kind of have a similar appearance, although they are different classes. And that's a thing to know about. So we'll come back to those here in a little bit. But now we know those are coming out. And when it comes to tokens, you're going to have to you're only going to be able to earn enough to choose one of those two ships for free. Now, they did use the phrase for free. It seems like if you are interested in getting both of those ships, there will probably be a way, if we're kind of reading between the lines, to get both of those boats. But one of them will be available to you for free, and that is going to be available if you do some grinding. You know, it's not going to be log in and get a free Dido or a free Canarias, but if you do some of the personal missions that they're going to have available for that, you should be able to get one for free. So again, if you're interested in both, it's going to cost you a couple of bucks. Asymmetric battles are coming back. We've talked about asymmetric battles a bunch on this channel. You guys know that I'm not the hugest fan of this game mode. I don't know that I find it interesting because so far, historically, the asymmetric battles have been a blowout for one team or the other. I'm hoping they got it right this time, and I'll be watching for reports from folks who are playing it. I hope that it's really good, but at the moment, I'm not holding out a lot of hope just yet. Asymmetric battles are like one team super being down-tiered, and I know they get extra ships, but you know, being down-tiered kind of sucks in a lot of ways. So hopefully they get enough extra ships that it becomes a really interesting battle. There's a tug of war there where we see a relatively reasonably balanced number of wins for each side. But again, at the moment, I'm not typically too excited about that. They've named the dirigible export or escort missions. They call it the Derigible Derby. I think we've seen this name here for a few days or maybe even a couple of weeks on different places around the internet. I don't think this was a new name announced here, but I like that they're calling it Dirigible Derby. I think that's pretty funny. I think this could be kind of interesting, an interesting take on the escort missions that they've been working on in World of Warships. We saw in a previous update the map where it shows the two teams kind of starting like this, and over time they get closer and closer and closer together, where the battle is going to get more and more pitched and more aggressive. It kind of reminds me a little bit, and people are maybe not going to like this comparison, it kind of reminds me a little bit about Epicenter. Not that the battles are at all similar. However, both of those battle types pull you closer together to the enemy so that there become these furious fights. And I suspect that's what we're going to see. Scotta Hurt says, I tried it on the public test server and it goes quicker than a random battle. So I would imagine that those fights get pretty fast and furious right away. Derpley says he's been playing it on PTS as well, and it's been fun. Welcome to the stream, Derpley. So anyhow, definitely interested to see how the Dirigible Derby comes along and plays out. I'm not sure if it's going to be something that replaces all of the random battles that I do, but I do like when they put in interesting game modes, and I think my initial reaction to that one was, this seems silly, but over time, as I've thought more about that battle, I think it's going to be something that's going to be worth perhaps giving a try to. We are also expecting this to happen. This is the replacement of the German battleship Grosse Kurfurst with the Preußen, and the Delny coming in to take the top slot from Khabarovsk, or Khabarovsk, as Khabarovsk is what Vessery was calling it, and he's the most Russian person who I've heard say that before. So anyway, we're going to call it Khaba or Khabarovsk here because of our American sensibilities. It's going to be tough to do it any other way. But we know those ships are going to be replaced. That's coming in our next patch, 11.1. So we'll see that happening soon. There are a lot of details about how this works. People have asked me a lot of questions about how the Khaba and the Kurfurst will be replaced. It is all explained in the article I just posted in chat. And guys, if you're watching this later on YouTube, it'll be down below in the description as well. You should definitely check that out. If you're curious about how that exchange is going to happen, it's coming up here in just a few short weeks. So make sure that you are where you want to be with Preußen and Delny before that patch rolls. Thanks a lot, Cato. I appreciate it. The other thing I want to throw out there, guys, is that unlike in previous iterations where we've seen ships replaced, I'm talking about like with Moskva is the biggest example, but also ships like Kirov and stuff like that have moved from the tech tree and become coal ships or premium ships of some kind. Unlike those previous moves, we are getting some some credits credited to our account. So if you already own Kurfürst, if you already own Khabarovsk, you're going to be given a credit benefit. If you're in a clan that has ship discounts, if you sell the ship, you will get fewer credits than if you just wait and let Wargaming give you the credits. So check out that article that I posted in there. You're going to find that that has all the details and answers all of the questions you have about Preußen and Delny. Thomas, welcome to the stream. We're glad to have you join us. Lunar New Year is happening. Dirigible Derby, we talked about that. Asymmetric Battles, whatever. That is all the stuff that is happening in winter. Obviously, there may be some other things going on, but these were the items they wanted to highlight in the big stream that happened, at least this morning, my local time. Could have been in the afternoon for you guys. When we look down here at spring 2022, this is where things get interesting. Rogue Wave is coming back. That's the Mad Max Waterworld post-apocalyptic game mode that we had, I think, over a year ago now, with all those crazy rusty camos and the grinding wheels and the... I don't know. They put a bunch of what I thought were kind of like ugly camos. I know people are like those camos. People think they're popular, or people like them, so they are popular. I'm not a big fan of the aesthetic of that game mode. However, it is kind of an interesting game mode where you're playing 4 teams against each other, and that's something that's kind of unique to that game mode, where you spawn in with 4 individual teams and do some combat there. It's an interesting game mode. And last time they did it, there were some interesting rewards, and I was able to grind some cool rewards. And as Cato points out, that's how we got Venom. As soon as Rogue Wave popped up here, everyone said, Venom return when? Venom return when? Venom, 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 Venom. And people were super excited about trying to get a Venom. They did not confirm that a Venom was going to be available with Rogue Wave this time. So my expectation is we won't see Venom coming from that update, but you never know. As we said earlier in this discussion, there are no facts about the future. Rogue Wave. So that's Rogue Wave. Newbie combat missions. This doesn't affect most of us that much. However, they are putting in some combat missions that will help train a new commander in all of the ways of World of Warships. This is stuff that they've actually been building out over time. When I first joined World of Warships, there was pretty much nothing in the game for new players. You came in and every player was new, and so we were all trying to figure out how to World of Warship together. And of course, as we continued on down this path, World of Warships has added more and more stuff. I'm not quite sure what's going to be involved in this, but for you guys who are looking to bring friends in and to train people and to to invite your allies and friends in real life to come and join you as allies and friends in World of Warships, the newbie combat missions should be helpful. I'll be kind of curious to see what those are going to be. There's a new dockyard coming with the Atlantico, and the Atlantico is a Pan-American battleship that has a bunch of guns. They're APs only. Atlantico has a cool camo on it. I recommend Googling it and looking for it yourself. It's going to be the new dockyard ship. I believe it's a tier 8, and so we'll see what's going on with that. Not a whole lot more to say about that. We've already kind of heard news about Atlantico, so I don't think it's a huge deal for us, but it is upcoming, and that's going to be in spring 2022. Okay, arms race. I don't think I like this one. I'm curious what you guys think. Arms race is coming to random battles. That is to say, random battles will now have a chance to be an arms race battle. To this I say, what? I don't want this personally. Listen, you guys know that I try to be open-minded about all of the crazy crap that World of Warships or Wargaming does to my freaking favorite video game, but plugging arms race into random battles to me is terrible. Corbu says if they swap it for Epicenter, I'm all for it. Scott and I were talking about this today. We went to lunch for the first time in a long time, and he said something interesting. He said, I don't like arms race coming in here because in all of the random battles modes, all of the ship's parameters stay the same. That's like a common theme across all of the modes that exist. And now arms race comes in and they're like, yeah, but what if we just effed with all that? So now you don't know how fast somebody reloads or you know, how quickly they travel. And so that makes it hard to aim at them. And just like all the things about the modification of the ships is strange. Now Kato says, I love arms race. And to be fair, I enjoy arms race too. I just don't think it's a random battle. Now, that said, it's coming, and I don't have any control over this. So let's all get ready for arms race to be a thing that we see when we hit random battles. My joke to Scotta today was, I guess when we hit random battles, it chooses a random game mode for us now. And you know what? At the end of the day, that's what it's going to be. So I got to steel myself and get ready for this to get my, you know, just to get comfortable and ready for this to be my new normal. It's not totally crazy. It's just very different from anything we've ever seen in random battles, right? It's a strange game mode for them to plug in there. But here we go, right? We're on our way. We've got a new map that is coming. They've been talking to us for the last several months about this new map. We chose an aesthetic based on player votes, I think back like in December or maybe even in November. So we're going to have a new map come to the battle or come to the game. I know a lot of players have been saying, let's have new maps. I never really felt like I needed a lot of new maps in World of Warships, but I'm kind of boring that way. That said, I'm kind of interested to see what this is going to be like. It's going to be new aesthetics and things like that. They're adding a thing called Sea Battle, and they didn't choose to use this term readily on the stream this morning. They're like, yeah, it's like where it's a game where there's like a square and there's ships out there and you choose like a number and a letter and your friend tells you if you hit one of their ships, and like it's just like a little 2D kind of a game where you guess where ships are, and eventually Seraphis said, yes, it is like the game Battleship, right? I don't know what Sea Battle is going to be exactly. The way they described it was we put Battleship, the Milton Mradley game. I liked Scotta's Bilton Mradley comment. That's hilarious. But they're going to put Battleship in World of Warships somehow. Now, that doesn't make any sense to me. Perhaps there's like a thing where you're going to choose to be on the red team or the blue team, and we'll all vote on which square to shoot at. Like, I don't know how this is going to work. Or if I can challenge Scotta to a game of not Battleship, because obviously that's a copyrighted thing that's owned by Bilton Mradley. I don't know what this means. Sea Battle is going to be interesting. What does it say down here? It says a mini activity in World of Warships inspired by a classic game. You guess which one. It offers a new way to obtain various rewards. The rules are simple. You'll play on a 2D ruled grid that holds each player's fleet of ships. Your mission is to seek and destroy enemy ships, and you'll earn various bonuses and rewards along the way. When it says each player's fleet of ships, like if I'm playing against Scotta, and first of all, I don't even know if that works that way. Does Scotta have like 400 ships for me to shoot at? Because that'd be kind of dope, actually. I have no idea what this is about. And are the ships just randomly placed? I don't want to waste the time placing all of my ships on a grid. That seems like a lot of work. I'm very curious about what this is going to be, but it sounds insane and totally unnecessary. And I, for one, am kind of here for it. So who knows? Like, whatever, dude. Scotta says this sounds like a browser thing that'll force us to get some new kind of currency. Yeah, exactly. It seems totally silly, but it is what it is. Visual improvements. They are going to be improving some of the visual aspects of the game. They're going to make ice cooler. When you're driving around in a snow and ice map, there will be ice buildup on your ship. That, I think, is actually sort of cool. Sea spray flying around and everything. It's going to be landing on your ship and freezing to your ship and so forth. It's going to be pretty interesting. They didn't say arms race is going to be in randoms here. Thomas says it's not going to be in randoms. At least that's what it says. It says here it will emerge as one of the possible random battle modes, and random battles is capitalized. And they did hold a discussion about it this morning on the stream. So I think it is in fact coming to random battles. Thomas, I'm sorry to break your heart, or maybe I'm not sorry. Maybe you're excited about this. It seemed like you had a similar response to me. So I don't know. We will see how that lands. Visual improvements are going to be pretty cool. They also said they're going to work on lighting and shadows and what the ships look like when they're in dark conditions, things like that. And then they're going to up-res a bunch of things and make them HD. So there must be aspects of the game which are currently not in high definition right now that are just scaled up, and they're going to go down and try to high-resify those resources. I don't know if that's islands, ships, or a mix of both. I feel like that's probably this. I'm not going to speculate. So there are things they're going to try to make high resolution. Ike says, finally they make the Duke of York's camo melting. That is pretty dope. I have that camo on Duke of York. It's really cool. He also said IJ and Yamata. By the way, I felt like the community was maybe a little harsh on Vessery because he said he was talking about the Yamato, and he said Yamata several times because he is thinking in Russian about how to pronounce a Japanese word that has been anglicized pronunciation-wise to like flip that. Like that is mental gymnastics. And he was pretty gracious about it. He was pretty cool. He was like, yep, sometimes it's hard for me to pronounce words in your other language. And he was pretty nice about people hassling him for it. But give Vessery a break. LDP says, once again, the art department carries. You bet they do. Now I'm going to talk about the box up here that everyone is interested in. Now, we've already seen an announcement about Italian destroyers. You bet we did. And in fact, these are them. Let's take a quick peek. We saw this. This was back in December. On the 2nd of December, they posted this, and they listed an entire set of Tier 2 through Tier 10 Italian destroyers. And we have some more news on these a little bit later, and we will take a look at them. But this is a brand new line of Italian destroyers. Now, we, of course, already kind of had it in our heads that these were probably going to come out after the Pan-Asian cruisers, because they tend to do one line and then another line and then another line. And they always seem to kind of tease those lines in order because that's how linear production works. We know that we're in the middle of dealing with the Pan-Asian cruisers right now. So obviously these Italian destroyers are coming up next. And that seems to be confirmed by what they're talking about here. This is cool. We're interested in these Italian destroyers. They're weird. They have extremely short-range guns. And I think they fire sap. What do these things fire? SFNL is confirming sap. Scott says meatballs. I think that's a combination of the two. These things look pretty cool. They've got some information here. It is HE and sap damage, so they're swapping AP for sap. This is going to be great for cruiser and destroyer hunting. We're going to see 30 millimeter pen on the sap shells. But check this out. 5.8 kilometer range on the Tier 2. And these numbers change. We're going to talk about a patch on these guys here pretty soon, or I should say a design adjustment, a nerf. Or actually, I think it's a buff. 6.1 kilometers, 6.2 kilometers. Let's go all the way down to Tier 10. Tier 10 has a range of 8.5 kilometers base. What? 135 millimeter guns, pretty big, but 38 millimeters of pen. How are these ships going to play? I don't know anything about them. I fought a couple, but like these are going to have such an incredible amount of damage they can dish up that when they show up, they see you, you see them, and they kill you quick. Because that range is going to be so tough for them to work with unless they can basically Paolo run you. And so we'll have to kind of see how these come out. At the moment, I'm not saying that I think they're great or terrible. I'm just going to wait and see what comes with these guys. If we look at the Tier 10, we have the exhaust smoke generator, which allows them to do Paolo runs. Now, I love Paolo runs. Exhaust smoke generator is not stationary smoke like we're used to on regular DDs. That's that moving smoke that Italian cruisers have and that Paolo Emilio has. I'm super stoked about the concept of Paolo running people with main battery guns. Part of the problem with this, and this is maybe why they have the short range guns, is because you guys have seen me run Paolo. You maybe run Paolo yourself because you're a person who likes fun and you decided to get that boat because it's a freaking hoot. But you can't see the enemy. Sometimes you'll blind yourself as you're approaching your target for that torpedo run. Can you Paolo run something with guns that you have to spot for yourself? Not very easily. You're going to have to get very close. So I don't know how these are really going to play. The hit points look good, 26,800. 26,800 before you put Survivability Expert on there? What? That's over 30,000 hit points on this ship once you've got that captain perk. So there's some really cool stuff that's happening here. We're also going to have slow torpedoes that go a long range. So Scott had just said up there, it's reverse Paolo Didi's in my opinion. Your safe, distant damage is going to be caused by torpedoes. Your up-close crazy boy damage is going to be caused by guns. I totally agree. Mark Summers and Lady J-Dog, thank you so much for the follows, guys. I know I'm going real fast here, but I appreciate you guys coming and hanging with me. Oh, no. Is my screen? You guys can see through my green screen right here. Oh, no. What do you think the detect will get down to? Well, doing like the world's simplest math, if you're starting with your concealment, where is it here? Detectability, 9.2. Oh, there it is, surface detectability. So the simple math is you take 20% off of that. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. I was looking right at it. You take 20% off of that. So if you take 0.9 off it twice, that's minus 1.8. You'll be in the sevens, right? Maybe 7.4 or so. Definitely. So yeah, I don't think you're going to be real sneaky, right, Burger? You're not going to be able to run up there with 5-kilometer concealment. It's going to be interesting. Andy the Cupid says 7.2. Burger or Bowmaster or Burger, can I get a shout out for Andy the Cupid? All right, guys, let's get back to what we were talking about. I wanted to talk about these. The other thing we've seen on this roadmap, this was news to me. Maybe you guys had sniffed this out already. We are going to be looking at a French cruiser split. They were immediately hit with a bunch of questions. Somebody said, are they light cruisers? Are they heavy cruisers? They were pretty cagey with the answers that they gave. They didn't say much. They did say it's gonna be a 3-ship split. So we're not looking at 17 new ships coming in or even 9 new ships, like from tier 2 on up to tier 10. We're looking at a 3-ship split, similar to like the Russian cruiser split. It's about the same size. And what they said about them was not much. They did say that there will be more details next week on the EU stream. So if you're watching that on Twitch, that's great. If you don't get that on Twitch, make sure you hang out either here or subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're definitely going to be talking about these French cruisers. I am a big fan of French cruisers, and I would be very excited to see what they're going to do with these. Right now, people talking about the light cruiser or heavy cruiser question. Currently, if it's a 3-ship split and it's at the top end, which I expect it will be, the 8, 9, 10 are all heavy cruisers, right? We've got 200 millimeter or 240 millimeter guns. When you're looking at Charles Martel or you're looking at Henry or Henri. So I think a light cruiser makes sense, but they could do something totally crazy, right? We've seen Wargaming trend towards larger and larger and larger guns. What if they're big old guns, right? I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see if they did something with like 300 millimeter guns, right? We've got a few examples of that where we have like Carnot, as Scott is pointing out, or even just other ships like Graf Spee, right? Where we have 283 millimeter guns on a cruiser. We've got the upcoming premium Sevastopol, which has huge guns on a cruiser. We could absolutely see something like that happen. So that is all of the excitement coming up in spring 2022. So I think it's going to be Italian destroyers first, and then these French cruisers will be coming up after that. And I'm super excited about the news that's coming up about those guys next week. Okay, let's move on. I'm taking forever on this news segment because there's so much cool stuff to talk about, and we are deep in the speculation zone. I hope you guys are having a good time with this as well. Now we're going to be looking at summer 2022. Check this out. Up here, we've got Dirigible Derby. That's in winter. We got Dirigible Derby. Summer or springtime, we're going to take a break, and then we're coming back, and we're going to do Convoy in summer 2022. Now, I was under the impression that Convoy turned into Dirigible Derby. That's what I thought had happened. I wasn't really following this part of the development as well as some, but apparently they're keeping Convoy alive as a new idea, as a separate idea from the Dirigible Derby, and they say they're going to do some interesting things to make Convoy fun. So far, Convoy has been really difficult for World Warships to make balanced and entertaining. I would love for them to have a cool Convoy game mode. Convoy is really neat. It's historical, or at least in concept, it's historical. And I think maybe they can get it right. They did get a question about subs. Somebody said, will you be able to use subs in Convoy? And they were cagey about that. They said, no, we're not going to confirm or deny that. We don't have anything to say about that. I think subs could be interesting. Submarines were very critical historically in Convoy rating. However, they were not the only ships that did Convoy rating. There was a lot of surface ship Convoy rating. That was a very popular, or not popular, but it was a very common tactic to use in both the First World War and the Second World War. So I would expect that subs could be on the table. They did verbally talk a little bit about how subs are coming back, probably in this time frame. I don't remember, guys, if they said anything specific about whether or not a specific the subs were coming back in spring or summer. If you guys remember anything, let me know. Submarine testing will resume. The fate of the new ship type will depend on the test results. Oh, is that in the summer? Say submarine. Oh, you're right. Here it is. It's in spring. So it says submarine testing will resume. Oh, you know what? I remember that, Andy, because this morning they said, yeah, we've had submarines out for 2 updates. And then they said, and then they will come back. So my expectation based on that statement is we'll probably see submarines come back in whatever's after 11.1. I doubt it'll be, I think it'll be a 12, an O12, but it could be an 11.2. We'll see. But my guess is it'll be something in the 12 line of version numbers based on how they've done that historically. Thank you, Andy. Good catch, bud. I appreciate that. We're also seeing U.S. destroyers model update. That doesn't mean more U.S. destroyers. It means they're going to go and update the graphics, the models, the 3D renderings of the U.S. destroyers. This is, they seemed to indicate this might be part of the Independence Day event. So we'll expect to see something cool with U.S. destroyers coming up as far as a graphics improvement, but not expecting new U.S. destroyers to be arriving in the game. They did mention the U.S. Independence Day event. Of course, for those of you guys who are not around, not in the States, and maybe you do, maybe you don't know when our Independence Day is. It is on July 4th. And so the 4th of July is a big deal for us here in the States. And every year Wargaming tips their hat to us and gives us kind of a fun event. They didn't have a lot of details about what's going to be happening during the 4th of July event. However, we are going to get one. And usually there's been some interesting stuff there, whether it's cool camos to unlock, maybe even a cool ship or something like that. I'm looking forward to whatever it's going to be, and I hope it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, down here, we're going to see, I'm going to get to the battleships last, guys. We're going to talk about those last. But the economy and exterior separation. This is something that players have asked for and talked about a bunch over the years, which has been, I don't like this camo, but I like these bonuses, and I have to wear this ugly camo to enjoy these good bonuses. What they want to do is separate those two things. Based on the conversation they had on the stream this morning, they made, oh geez, Ike, thank you for that. Based on the conversation they had this morning, it seems like we're going to get bonuses and we're going to get camos. They'll both be consumable, and we'll be able to attach them to our ships as we like. You're still going to have a limited number of those camos, seem to be the implication from Vessery, but you'll be able to select the bonus and the camos independently. Yeah, pretty much, Thomas. I think it'll be a good thing. And for those of you guys who play World of Tanks, there's a similar capability to this in World of Tanks right now. I don't know that World of Warships is going to go the same direction of tanks. They usually don't. So take this with the most enormous grain of salt that you possibly can. In what you're able to do is choose a camo, which gives you mechanical benefits like concealment bonuses, or like in World Warships, we would have like a dispersion penalty to those shooting at you. But the economic bonuses and the experience points bonuses are all on a separate item called reserves. And so in Watt, you can choose a reserve, and then you can choose a camouflage, and they both give you different things. Now, what this says is economy and exterior separation. So my theory is if they look at Watt and they like that. Now, I don't like the way it's implemented in Watt. We can talk about that if you guys are curious. But if they like what they've done with that, it's economy over here. Economy is credits, XP, free XP, commander XP. Those are economic things. Concealment bonuses are not economic, right? That is not an economic change. That is a mechanical change. Things that give you increased dispersion of people shooting at you, not an economic change. It's a mechanical change. So if they separate those things, it could be interesting. Now, if you want to get a little tinfoil hat, you can, and you can say, well, they're going to do this to adjust the economy. Well, they could. They absolutely could. And there's an opportunity for them to adjust what we can get in terms of free XP, and what we can get in terms of elite commander XP, what we can get in terms of silver and things like that. Totally legitimate. Someone asked, hey, what are you going to do with all the camos that are in our inventory right now? And Vessery said, you will get to keep all of the stuff you have now. It'll just be, it'll be separated for mechanical reasons. Now, again, like we've talked on this channel many times, guys, I'm involved with software development. When they talk about separating these two concerns, as a software developer, this is very attractive. It allows them to adjust individual things independently, and that is very good in terms of separation of concerns, which allows you to code more flexibly and to develop more flexibly, whether that development is in software or even in the programs, the way that they're, like, the programs is a bad term because it has duplicate meanings, but in the way that the economy works. It's good for them as developers on both sides. I suspect that they're going to treat us pretty fairly when they initially do the separation, but at that point, the bonuses could all change, right? And then we could see modifications to the economy as we go into the future. Some people asked about permanent camouflages as well, and how that's going to work. The answers there, the discussion was not as thorough as I would have liked. You guys know I'm a big nerd, and I like this conversation, and I would like to get really in deep with these guys and talk about it. Obviously, this is coming several months away from now, but with permanent camos, they suggested that there's a possibility that you would have a permanent visual thing, a permanent exterior thing, and a permanent economy thing. So this could be a thing that is good or bad. Like when you buy a permanent camo, does it come with a permanent economic deal and a permanent mechanical / visual deal that you can bolt onto your ship? That almost has to be the case, but who knows? Maybe they'll imagine something I can't right now because they're the designers of this product and I am not. So just kind of keep your eyes and ears open about this. Remember, summer 2022, no facts about the future. This is a long time from now. And excuse me. And we are going to be waiting and watching and learning more about this as time goes on. So I'm very curious about how this is going to play out and how it's going to work for us in the long term. Scotta says, I don't see them doing this in a way that isn't a screw job, Scotta says from the deck of his Missouri, which they borked. True. It's possible. It also could be that this is a way they can fix the Missouri, right? I mean, I don't think that this is likely, but they could give us a mechanical thing. We don't have a name for that, but they could give us the mechanical deal for the Missouri. For all the people who had the Missouri back in the old days, we could have one cool mechanical permanent thing that fixes this, because the mission is sort of broken and doesn't work and doesn't compound the way that a camouflage mechanical skill does. So they could use this mechanic to fix that problem and provide that restitution to original Missouri owners like myself and like Scotta. They also could not, because we are all basically grumbling, but that minor disaster that befell everyone in the World of Wargaming, World of Warships community is kind of in the past, and we're either pissed about Missouri or not at this point. So they might not fix it, right? I have no idea. And again, I think they will use this as an opportunity to either adjust the mechanics now or to adjust them in the future. So yes, I expect them to modify the economy, but you know, again, they were going to do that anyway. So here's what we're looking at in the future. Okay, enough of that. I could speculate for days and I don't have any facts. So that's danger town as we go deep into that speculation zone. Let's talk British battleships. Now, this is what they said about the British battleships. I wrote down a few notes this morning. when I was watching this. They said they'll be doing spring testing and a summer release most likely. So we're going to see these ships in testing in the spring. And of course, you could have predicted that already. We were looking at the Pan-Asian cruisers in testing at the late part of 2021. And of course, they've come out now. And we're seeing those ships come out now. And we're going to see a similar pattern as we go to the future, right? Italian ships are in testing now. We're seeing those in battles. A few of us here have already talked about how we've sunk those ships or not. And as we go to the future, we're going to see those ships come out. Well, as we look for these British battleships, they're going to come out that way. They described these as British battle cruisers. And Bloodminister went as far as to say an entire line of ships that are like the Repulse and the Incomparable. So the Incomparable and the Repulse, if those are the models for this line, that's very interesting. It's very interesting for a couple of reasons. The Repulse has a speed boost, which is cool. If that's a thing that we kind of expect to see on this line, maybe even in just some of them, that's cool. If the Incomparable's enormous guns are an indicator, maybe we won't get 508s or whatever like they have on Incomparable, but maybe we'll get 460s, right? Like Thunderer has or like Incomparable has, and we'll put those on these British ships that might have a speed boost. I think this could be really neat. And of late, I've been really enjoying my British ships, like all of them. I didn't used to consider myself a big British ship fan, but I'm really liking my Druid. I'm really liking all of my mid-tier British battleships. I'm having a good time with my Lion, even a little bit. Like, what the heck? So we're having a good time with that. I'm excited about the British battleship announcement. For me, this was absolutely new news, and I was super stoked about it. Now, again, Wargaming is giving us this information months and months in advance. Normally, we can look maybe 2 or 3 months ahead with the stuff that's on the dev blog. This is in summer of 2022. We're talking July, we're talking June, August, these kinds of timeframes. That is a long time from now. And we could see changes, right? The British battleships could be delayed and everything like that. Hey, Marangana, welcome to the stream. We're glad to have you. Burgess says that's the saving grace right there. If they are similar to the Incomparable, that would be awesome. Agreed. I think this could be really, really cool. So that is what they announced this morning on the giant roadmap for 2022. It seemed to be that Vessery and Seraphis and Bloodminister indicated that we'd be back quarterly with this kind of update. That right there is going to be the end of our news segment. Now, again, I'm using a new OBS scene that is totally broken. Let's see if I can actually go back like this. Nope, it's not looking good so far. I'm in the wrong place. Go back into your little blue box, Clyde. There we go. And now we are going to try to find our way out of this, guys. Again, thank you very much for joining me for the news. I hope this was fantastic. If you're watching this on YouTube later, come hang out with us on Twitch. If you're watching it on Twitch right now, we're going to go play a couple more games because we still got some time left and get into some World of Warships. So hang with us. We'll do some of that. And of course, continue on the conversation. If you guys want to join the Discord, we'd love to have you there. And other than that, that is it. Let's go.
This has been the news on Clyde Plays Live.
Oh, well, that didn't work. Oh, that's so dumb. Oh, never try to do cool stuff ever.